Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Campbell Talk. I am filling in tonight for Matthew Graham Jackson. I am your co host, Richardo Jackson, and welcome to the show tonight. Tonight we have Alexis Marie, and she is an amazing individual that you ever did meet. And we're going to talk to her about what she got going on, what's new in her part of the world. And again, get your pen, get your pencils, invite a couple of friends to watch this because we are dropping gems in all of these videos. It's about motivating, inspiring, and really taking 2024 to a next level. I don't know how many of you are happy that 2023 was over, but I need you to really take notes because sometimes, you might be watching this video and a gem jumps out at you. You may want to write it down. You may want to write down that email address, that IG address, that YouTube page or something because there's information there that can help you to be greater in 2024. So without further ado, we're going to cut to our intro, and then next up we'll have Alexis Marie doing the damn thing. Welcome.
Hi, hello everyone. Hey, Richardo, what's going on?
Hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am doing phenomenal. I'm just really excited to be here. I was listening to the intro, and what Richardo didn't tell you is that Richardo and I actually go way back. We were talking about our kids pre-show and just man, it's been years, but the love is still there. And it's just great to reconnect with an old and true friend. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'm going to put you on Front Street. Tell everybody who you are, what's going on, what they should know about you.
Yes. So my name is Alexis Marie. Others know me as Coach Alexis Marie, Becoming Alexis Marie. But most recently, founder, host, creator of Freed for Impact podcast. And to be honest, this has been such a journey. You had mentioned in the intro, if there were some of us that were excited about or happy about 2023 ending. And, at first I was like, yes, absolutely, me. But when I think about it, 2023 was actually, there was a lot of downs, a lot of dips. And even if I'm being honest, failures. I had a couple failures in 2023. But 2023 was what I like to call my sandpaper year because of the things that I had went through in 2023. It has created the atmosphere for everything that's happening now in 2024. So a little bit about me. Back in August of 2019, I lost my husband after a really tragic car accident. And to be honest, my entire world just fell apart because prior to that, I had been promoted to National Director of Marketing at a really big nonprofit health organization. I had the house, I had the car, my kid was going to private school. I was living the American dream. And just like that, it was gone. And I didn't know who I was anymore. Like my entire identity was gone. I'm not a wife anymore. I'm a single mom now. And it seemingly happened overnight. And this really started this searching for me of who am I now that I'm carrying this new identity, this thing that happened to me, the loss of my husband. How do I manage this grief now, and how do I find myself in this? And so yeah, that's where the journey kind of picked up. I was born and raised in Miami, and after going through this incredible spiral and really struggling with my mental health, with my identity, with knowing who I am, um, I heard from God directly tell me, your healing is not going to happen here. And I knew exactly what that meant. I got on a plane the next day and I took my son and my dog and I moved to Denver, Colorado. I got the word one day. 3 weeks later, I had quit my job and moved. And I didn't know what was coming next. I really didn't. So I just spent a lot of time working on me in prayer, asking God to just reveal to me what was this next chapter going to look like. And over time, as I started to get to rediscover myself, learn new facets of myself that I didn't know existed, learn about my identity in God that I didn't know was there, or, what does God say about me? Um, as I began to grow in those things, the very next question is, okay, God, what do I do now? Like, what do you want me to do now that I have this new confidence, this new assurance of who I am? And I heard very clearly, I want you to facilitate transformation in other people the same way I've done it for you. So I was like, all right, bet, say less. So I went ahead, I made my vision board. One of the things that I really wanted to do was meet and be mentored by Lisa Nichols, which, funny enough, Ricardo was the one who introduced me to Lisa Nichols. And
I love her.
I did. I am actually one of 75 certified transformational trainers and facilitators um, under her program. And I thank you. That has been my life's work ever since. And it's been a lot of ups and downs with um, what does business look like? What does this new identity of entrepreneurship for Alexis looks like? And to be honest, it has had its ups and downs in figuring out this new facet. And so in 2023, I made the decision to launch a coaching and speaking business and just really hit the ground running. And it seemed like every single door was closed. I had the connections, I had the skills and training, I knew the people, and yet I couldn't get this thing off the ground. And so I went back to God and I'm like, you told me you wanted me to facilitate transformation. Why is this not working? And again, very clearly, I heard, you're trying to do this your way.
Mm.
We're going to do this my way. I want you to have a podcast. I want you to get these stories out about how people are getting out of their heads and into alignment with the calling that I put on their life. I need people to hear that I am still the same God of yesterday, the same God that parted the Red Sea, the same God that raised Jesus from the dead. I am still that God, and I'm still operating today. And so, with that, in 2023, end of 2023, I put out a call for guests, and I have just been inundated and flooded with people willing to share their stories about how they just rediscovered themselves. They had this amazing encounter with the Lord, and now they are operating in divine purpose. So that is kind of like the long short of where I've been and what I've been up to. And I'm just really, really glad to have this new perspective on life and how to reevaluate when certain things happen to you, because there's nothing like losing a loved one, and it really knocks you down. But I am happy and proud to say that even through that, I'm still standing.
Still standing. I
Yeah.
know. In 2020, I lost my mom too, and I mean, it was 2020 was just not a good year either. I mean, as you go back, it seems like every year wasn't just any. I
Yeah.
lost my mom back in February of 2020, and that really took a toll on me. I mean, like you keep the exterior, and people see, and they're like, "Oh, you're so strong," but they don't get to see when you're crying in the shower. They don't get to see when you're sitting in the car in the parking lot and you're just boohooing. They don't get to see a lot of times those things, or sometimes you're just like wandering aimlessly through without knowing where you're going. And so I started getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would just go. I would walk a 4 mile walk every morning, and it was in those moments that I kind of like spoke to God. Kind of like spoke out to my mom, and just kind of like find peace. And so it took a while. It's a lot of people think you just kind of like go through the motions for a couple of weeks and get over it, but it can take a while. So I have a side project that I'm working on, a little book talking about, dealing with that, and the songs that I listen to every morning, and kind of like how they've carried me through. And so hopefully it's sort of like a inspirational book for folks who are grieving or have experienced loss, and just looking for some like silent comfort in a sense. So that's pretty amazing. And then like clockwork, it's like September came and my grandma passed away, and I was like, oh
Wow.
my gosh. And
Yeah.
then I was like, all right, I think I'm at the quota right now. And then December came, and it's the last day of the year, and I broke my ankle in 5 places.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, 2020 was just, and then there was
Yeah.
COVID happening. People were out
Yeah.
of work. It was just so
Yeah.
much.
You can mention that. Yeah.
Uh, it was just a whole lot. So you
Yeah.
know but we're here, we're still strong, and we're here for a reason, right?
Amen.
And so, as you know, like, to our guests who are watching the show, our audience who are watching the show, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you know in life we go through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you can either just let it keep pounding you down into the ground, or you can look to your source of strength, whether that's God or Allah or whoever, your greater power, the universe, and just say, hey, listen, I need help, I need you, and just trust the
Yeah.
process, and just move, just take one step forward every day.
Right.
You do.
Right.
So free for impact, uh that's big.
It is. It is. The whole concept around it alludes to, you kind of alluded to it when you were talking about taking one step at a time.
Hmm.
Oftentimes I was hearing, even amongst my peers, and even with the widows that I was coaching, was, I know that there's more for me, or I know there's something that I'm called to do, but there's this one thing that I can't get over this one hurdle, whether it's fear or lack mindset, or shame, regret. There were different things that I just kept hearing coming up that were holding people back. But when we dove deeper into it, there's this realization that God is actually inviting us into a life of abundance. And there is actual, there's a foundation that is true, that when we stand on it, we're able to look at a lot of these hurdles and challenges from a different perspective so that we can overcome them. And in doing so, it's freeing, it's liberating. It says, I actually don't have to be afraid to speak anymore. For me, that was my thing. I had actually started a podcast in like 2022, but I was so afraid to be seen because I always dealt with insecurity around the way that I looked, or how I would be perceived, or what if I say the wrong thing and like people jump down my throat. I always had this fear around being seen and being heard. So when I first started the podcast back in 2022 or 2021, whenever that was, I put out 3 episodes and I shut it down because the fear was that crippling. So when I got the message again, no podcast, I was like, wait, hold up, wait a minute. I already tried that. I don't want to do that again. I'm scared. I mean, of course, I'm scared. There was a lot I had to go through and work out before getting to that. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have the equipment. I don't know how to do a podcast. All of the excuses. But under that, what was really operating? It was fear. And so, in working through my own fear and really understanding, like, actually, I don't have to be worried about what other people think about me because I know who I'm talking to, and the people that I'm talking to are the people that matter. And those that have a problem with what I'm saying, sorry, not sorry. Like, it's not for you. It's okay. It's okay. Like, it's one of those things where you really have to shift the perspective in order to operate in your greatness, operate in things that in your strengths and the things that are true and aligned to you. Because when you do that, that's when you make the impact. I've had a lot of people come back to me, especially through coaching, and just say, like, man, I didn't think about it that way. I never considered that. And that only happened after I stepped into alignment of who I'm really called to be. And that's what the Freed for Impact podcast is all about. It's understanding, like, hey, there's things that I know I need to work through and I need help working through. But it really helps me to hear somebody else is also going through that. So I've had people come on and talk about financial challenges and lack mindset. I had a lady that went through foreclosure 17 times. Her house never got taken away by the grace of God. It was a miracle. But 17 times she went in and out of foreclosure. I had another woman that was planning her suicide because she was in so much debt that she thought her life was more valuable. Her death was more valuable than her life. And all kinds of things, people dealing with relational issues, identity issues, all kinds of different things that we all go through. The human experience, it's universal. And when we're able to have these real conversations, no matter from what our walk of life is, we're able to connect on these universal experiences. There's freedom in that. And when we're free, that's when we're able to really touch people and do the things that we were created to do.
Facts. I think it's good that you say that. Sometimes we have to push through some of our own stuff because our own stuff allows us to stand in our own way.
Yeah.
And I had to come to the realization. I was like, no one has ever told me that. No one has ever said, Richardo, you should not start your own organization.
Right.
And I was standing there and it's like, well, why didn't I do it a long time ago? But sometimes the timing has to be right? Like you go through these things, and I think sometimes people go through different experiences, and when it's over, they're like, oh man, that was such a bad experience, or oh, that was so horrible. I don't ever want to go there or do this or do that. But they forget one part of the lesson, right? Which is look at what happened and take the lesson out of it. And
Right.
sometimes situations happen and people don't take the lessons out of it.
Yeah.
And so then they have to repeat that process again to kind of like say, oh, you didn't learn it the first time, now we're going to go through it again the second time.
Right.
Because
Right.
there is something there for us to learn.
Yeah.
So um you mentioned that Lisa Nichols is like, I don't know, all hail Lisa Nichols. I listen, I love.
Yeah.
You can just say yes, yes, and I'm done.
Yes.
But for sure, it's like So, besides Lisa Nichols, what would you? Who's been? What has been your greatest inspiration so far?
Mm. So the person that immediately comes to mind is my grandmother. May she rest in peace. She passed away January of last year. But Miss Vonna Marie Bowen, my grandmother was a little lady. She was like 4'8", 4'9" on a good day. She was very spunky, full of life. Um, and she was the first Black woman to do a lot of things in her hometown of Denver, Colorado. She was the first Black meteorologist and news anchor. She was the first Black disc jockey. She was the first Black flight attendant with the longest tenure for Delta Airlines. I mean, I'm sure the record's been broken now in terms of tenure, but she was the first Black woman to achieve the tenure that she had. She was just, she was the first to do a lot of things, but when you talk to her, she was the most life loving, down to earth, like you wouldn't know. And what I especially loved about her, especially in her last days, the thing that I was able to really relish in, and the thing that I will never forget, is her ability to remain in the present. You know, as she was nearing the end of her life, she was sick. She had dementia. But even prior to that, she sorry, I lost my train of thought. Even prior to that, she I lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. um yes, her ability to stay present. That's what it was. I remember even with the dementia, it was Christmas time. So she passed in January, so December. She was laying in her hospital bed and she was like bopping to the music, like Christmas music that was playing, and just really like, she didn't have a care in the world. And when I saw that, and I just saw like she was genuinely just enjoying herself with whatever capacity she had. And that's the way
Mhm.
that she lived her life. She lived her life in a way where she stayed in the present. She wasn't worried about what happened in the past. She wasn't worried about what was coming down the pipeline. She just was hyper focused. And I think that was what gave her the ability, and the tenacity to accomplish a lot of the things that she did. She wasn't worried about it. She wasn't looking for the accolade. She was just doing what she was made to do in that moment. And that's the kind of alignment that I aspire to really master, is how do I stay so much in the present, so aligned, so calibrated with myself and with the divine, that I am just running through my goals and like just crushing them and just living in a way that I'm happy. I am fulfilled. You know, there's going to be ups and downs in life. There's going to be moments that are just not good. They're going to suck. Like that's life. We are promised in this life there will be tribulations. But that doesn't mean that we're not equipped to deal with them, that we're not equipped to handle them.
I
So,
know we're running up against the clock a little bit,
yeah.
but I wanted to just answer this last one before we kind of like start winding down.
Okay.
Is I don't want to do like the cliche stuff where it's like top five things or top three things, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Okay.
Um, so for someone who is experiencing or grieving or experiencing loss or just dealing with something right now that's mentally weighing on them, what would be like, your top three advice or top three things that you would tell them and ask them to do or encourage them to do in order to kind of like get them through?
Okay. So for someone that is just started their grief journey, because, and I want to make sure to highlight, it's a journey. Like it doesn't end, doesn't come to a completion. Um, the first thing I would say is be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, consider yourself a friend. There's no timeline, there's no finish date, completion date, deadline, that doesn't exist. Um, take the time to take care of yourself, however that looks like. Um, the second thing I would say is don't be afraid to reach out. For me, as a single mom, there were plenty of times Ricardo and I would hang out. We'd get the kids together, we'd go to the beach, and I might be crying the whole time, but I'm out and I have help. I had help with my son, and I wasn't home ruminating and drowning in my own grief. So find community and reach out. And the third thing I would say is connect to your source. For me, that's my faith. For you, you have to be the one to identify that. When I came to the realization that my strength is limited and that I don't have a never ending source of strength, but I can tap into one, I can tap into someone, something that has unlimited strength, it was a game changer for me. I realized I didn't have to do it by myself. So connect with God, source, take care of yourself, and get connected to community. Those would be my three.
For sure. All right. So again, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes,
Um, follow
yes.
you, follow your page, um, to be inspired and to connect.
Yes, you can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify right now, free for impact. You can also find the video playlist of the podcast on YouTube, free for impact. And you can also reach out to me directly on IG at Freed for Impact on Instagram. So,
There you go. To make a quick edit.
yeah.
So at Free for Impact, and of course I have it spelled out here on the screen. But when you go in, it's all together at Free for Impact on Instagram and all of the other platforms that she just said. Huh.
It is. You had it right the first time.
Oh, I had it right. Okay. I thought it was, I thought it was like, okay. I'm gonna just fix that back again. But yeah, for sure. Just make sure that you go on Instagram and follow the Instagram page and like, share, and follow. Don't just keep all of the goodies to yourself, folks. Share
Yeah.
it so other people can benefit from it as well. And so we have to get into the habit of communal sharing. Because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to heal. That's how we're going to learn. That's how we're going to transform, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Thanks again for being on the show tonight. As always, tonight's show is sponsored. Well, Campbell Talk is sponsored by Campbell Health Solutions, which is a 501c3 organization, a nonprofit organization here in Palm Beach County that provides free HIV counseling and testing, STD screening, as well as PrEP and PEP services. So if you would like to know more information, go to our website at campbellhealth.org or call us at 561-208-6595. And as always, you can make a donation to Campbell Health Solution by texting CHS to 53555 and making a small reoccurring donation. All right. Thank you again for being on the show. And remember the name of the podcast, guys, Free for Impact on Instagram. All right. So we're going to go over there and follow, get some of the friends to do it. And when you see something you like, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. All right. Alexis, thank you for being on the show tonight. Really, really appreciate you being here. And I love this journey that you're on and that you've just bloom and blossomed. That's my new word. If you've gone on my LinkedIn, you see my word is blossoming. That's my word for the first quarter of the year. We're all blossoming, right? So let's just do it
Yeah.
and, and show the beauty that we have inside and add to this collage of the universe. And so let's just continue to be great. Thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
yes, for sure. And we'll talk some more, and we'll hit you up and get you back on the show again in the future. So thank you guys.
All right, thanks. Bye, guys.